Although Detective Conan is a mystery work, it still can't escape the ideology that bloodlines are more important than anything else within Japanese cultural works. As long as the characters are members of the protagonist group, their fathers will always be a head above them in strength, right up until the end of the work. Whether it's Kuro Shinichi, Hatsuri Heiji, or Akai Shuichi, it's all the same. Among this group of strong elders, only Mori Kogoro is displayed as friendly and funny. But don't forget the second rule of Japanese works: never go against funny characters. What taught me this was in Detective Conan anime episodes 27 to 28, Kogoro's class reunion murder case. If we say that the Moonlight Sonata murder case is Conan's eternal regret, then this case is what Mori would regret the most. At the beginning of this case, Ron begs her father to take her to his class reunion. Mori wanted to come up with an excuse, but Ron's attitude was uncharacteristically firm, and he had no choice but to tell her how many episodes it's been, how many times have you both traveled, he expressed. I'll treat you both to a good meal, so please, let my wallet go on vacation for once. At this moment, a bank robbery occurred, with the culprit holding a pistol, rushing past Mori's three-member group, and into an alley. The culprit aimed the gun at Mori, who was chasing him. Conan kicked the pistol away, using his power-enhancing kick shoes in an emergency, and Mori took the opportunity to knock the robber to the ground, successfully arresting him. The early days of Detective Conan's art style is really both weird and cute. Stick-figured bodies, rounded heads, and rounded hands. I finally know why I couldn't tell the difference between Doraemon and Detective Conan before. In any case, Conan's OP soccer ability made Mori doubt this elementary school student for the second time, and Conan hurriedly explained that it was just his instinct that helped save Uncle Mori. In general though, it was Conan who saved Mori, so Mori should repay him by taking him to the hot springs of his class reunion, and Ron would follow Conan as a guardian. Mori was still trying to make one last struggle when one of Mori's classmates, Horikoshi Yumi, just so happened to pass by and see them. I must say, this type of art style is quite nostalgic. This guy's face looks like another person named Shinchan. The request to her father was of no use, so Ron just turned to tell his father's classmate that she was going to the class reunion with him, leaving Mori with no room left for bargaining. The audience next to them just stood there dumbfounded, watching this father-daughter duo playing mind games with each other until the police arrived at the scene. A strange thing happened next. The pistol that was kicked by Conan just seemingly disappeared. Someone in the crowd must have taken it, which could lead to another crime. The next steps were handed over to the police, and Mori's three-member group embarked on a journey to the class reunion a week later. Well, you guys know the efficiency of these police officers. From anime episode 783 up until now, the source of Kusuda Rikimichi's gun has still not been found. This time, they spent a whole week searching. Let alone the person who picked up the gun, they don't even know if the gun is real or fake. Conan deduced that it was a real gun just by seeing the gun fall to the ground for a few seconds. What I want to know is the idea that your kicks can knock out satellites. Obviously, it couldn't be a toy gun. Soon, they arrived at the destination's hot spring hotel. Mori and his classmates from the judo club, who hadn't seen each other for 5 years, missed one another's past, as well as boasting how skilled they each were back then. Mori was the only one among them who had never won an official match, and the invincible image he had built for many years in front of his daughter was shattered. However, his observation ability was also shown. When he saw Conan, who just took a bath with Ron, he knew at a glance that this kid was overstimulated and almost lost too much blood. For the first time in so many episodes, Conan had the thought of not daring to return to his original body, as well as his gratitude towards the black organization. A couple of people said some polite comments. The once small Mori Ron had grown up to be quite big now. Sorry, who are you talking to? If you're talking about Ron growing up, then you'd have to ask Conan. He probably just conducted sufficient research on her. But if you're talking to that weird object on her head, then I guarantee you that it will grow several times over the next 6 months. Other than Ron, there was one more person in the class reunion this time. A little dwarf with glasses, and everyone started to introduce themselves to him. The first is high school PE teacher, Ayashiro Yukio, his wife, Ayashiro Noriko, hobby shop manager, Omura Jun, and cosmetics company employee, Horikoshi Yumi. The last one was the former captain of the judo club, and now a detective, Nakamichi Kazushi. I don't know if you guys noticed something familiar. Before Detective Conan became famous, no one predicted that the author would spend so much effort to describe the love story between several police officers. Inspector Takagi was also a passerby character without a specific name at the beginning. His sense of existence was so thin that even the anime production team accidentally lost his original character design. They finally found a random character in this episode, high school PE teacher Ayashiro Yukio. darkened his skin color a few shades, randomly picked out Koji Magenta from the existing cast voice actors, and pieced it together to form a new character. Despite this, we wouldn't know that character's name until anime episode 42. I'm really curious as to what would happen if Inspector Takagi, Mori Kogoro, and Inspector Megure were to enter the same police academy, and what kind of plot would develop. Now, everyone is obsessing over the memories of the photos, discussing the gossip between the boys and girls of the past. The person known as the club's Madonna is now unmarried. Those she used to date now want to form a family with other people, facing the crisis of unemployment, lamenting the passage of time, and the fragility of life. The atmosphere suddenly turned serious, and Horikoshi Yumi hastily claimed it was a joke to lighten the mood. Ron then found a photo of them playing ping pong at the class reunion 5 years ago, and Nakamichi suggested whether or not they should play ping pong like before. They considered that the fireworks they were supposed to watch didn't start until 6:30 p.m., more than 3 hours later, so it would be perfect to kill some time. While only Horikoshi refused and went back to her room. In the ping pong room, the original archetype of Takagi blocked the gym teacher's glory of beating Mori, and Omura heads to the toilet while the two are battling it out. Nakamichi also told Ron and Conan about his past's glorious deeds. He had no opponents on the field except for one person, and he never won against that person even once. While they were talking, Omura interrupted the conversation by returning with a flustered face. The happiest times are always fleeting, and there is less than half an hour for the fireworks show to be staged. Mori's 3-member group and Omura rushed to occupy a good seat. The others left to tidy up the equipment or go to the hot springs first, while only Horikoshi stayed in her room. The fireworks had started, but they still hadn't seen her come out. So Ron hurried to her room to try to wake her up, but was stopped halfway by Nakamichi, who had just taken a bath, saying that this woman hated being disturbed by others and would be really grouchy. On the way back, they met Ayashiro and his wife again. They had just taken a bath as well, and the 5 of them went to the place occupied by Mori. However, there were too many people watching the fireworks, and as a result, the 5 people were separated. Only Ron and Conan arrived at the location. Then, Omura volunteered to look for the lost 3 people. As a result, from the original 8-member group, only Mori's 3-member group were left to enjoy the fireworks together in the end. Things got especially concerning when Horikoshi didn't even show up during the dinner. Nakamichi suggested that everyone should wake her up together, as if they were going to get scolded, everyone should be scolded at least. The group stood at the door and knocked on it several times. When they saw that no one answered the door, they opened it, turned on a light, and found that Madonna from the judo club could never be woken up again. When a classmate saw this, they wanted to rush over to her, but Nakamichi stopped them. Now, only he and Mori, these 2 detectives, could enter this room. Horikoshi was shot directly in her temple by a gun, and had long since lost her vital signs. At this time, the wary Conan discovered that the pistol held by the deceased was the one held by the culprit in the previous bank robbery, and there were signs that it had fallen before. Combined with her negative thoughts this afternoon, Mori deduced that the possibility of suicide was high, while Nakamichi advised him not to jump to conclusions so quickly and wait until the police came first. However, there was a fireworks display nearby, as well as a traffic jam, and the police would not be able to come for a while, so they could only rely on the 2 people who had experience in autopsies to conduct emergency investigations. After taking pictures of the scene with Omura's camera, Mori swung the joints of the deceased to try and investigate the time of death. Generally speaking, a person's body will remain warm and relaxed within 3 hours after death, before it will gradually lose temperature, then become stiff. Finally, it will relax again after 36 hours. Horikoshi's body had been frozen and stiff, meaning she had been dead for at least 7 hours, which would have been the moment she left the crowd and returned to her room. Mori wanted to continue investigating her lividity and took off her yukata, only to find that she was not wearing any undergarments. The yukata was 1 size larger than what they saw this afternoon, and her finger was not on the trigger of the pistol. Conan, who had been raising these questions, was once again thrown out of the room. Nakamichi helped cover the clothes of the deceased, and everyone left the room to avoid contaminating the scene. Although Mori didn't answer Conan's question, he vaguely felt something was off. Another question from Conan completely solved the mystery in his mind. How does a person shoot themselves in the head? In order to ensure a fatal shot, most people would directly touch the muzzle of the gun to their temple. At the moment of the shooting, there would be burn marks on the high temperature wound accompanied by the muzzle, while the deceased didn't have this. Believing that someone waited for Horikoshi to come to her room 7 hours ago and kill her, then disguised it as a suicide scene, would lead to the real murderer possibly still being in this very hotel.